Hi there guys, in this video we'll be taking a look at the second ship added in 3.2. Now this is called the Mamba, which is another medium-sized combat ship. Bear in mind that this was recorded in beta, so things could change between now and final release. This has also been recorded at Founders World, so there's a 10% discount on all the prices. So let's have a look at the ship in the shipyard. You'll find it around about 54 million, and like I said, in Founders World it's about 50. So it just gives you an idea of the difference. Next one along, here we go. It has a top speed of 316 with a boost speed of 387. It has 3 to manoeuvrability. The jump drive range is around about 30 light years before modifications, but I think that won't go up massively because it's not that fantastic in that range. It has 244 to shields, but a very high 414 to armour. It has a hull mass of 250 tons and a maximum cargo capacity of around about 64 tons with no shield. So obviously this is not going to be a very good trade ship. Anyway, so let's buy the ship and have a look at the cockpit. So as you can just about see now, the cockpit isn't the best in some respects because we have these two arms on our left or right. These are part of the ship and nothing much you can do about those. On the left we do have a nice instrument panel there and some nice detailing. A little bit further we do have some bars and so forth. On the top of the canopy is pretty clear, so that should be pretty useful. For the side down here on the left we do have a lot of panels and things down here. We do have a nice little instrument panel on the right, slightly different one. And again, like I said, there's basically a few bars about, but nothing here too much to block your view, apart from those two side wings. So let's have a look in the outfitting section and see what you can equip on this ship. As I said, it's very important to know what you can. So the first thing to look at is the hardpoints. So if we go into hardpoints, you can see we have a class 4 or huge hardpoint. Now I'm just going to fit a weapon in there so I can show you later where they all are on the ship, as sometimes it is a bit confusing knowing where they are. This looks like it's on the top of the ship, around about the back, but as I said, I will run through it and show you where they all are. Next we have two class 3 or large hardpoints. These look either side, so if I again put some other weapons in there, I might just put in some pulse lasers as a slightly different weapon, and I'll go and stick one in the other two. And finally we have two small hardpoints, so these might be useful on different builds. I'm going to just change these over to multi-cannon so I can show you later where they are. Like I said, this is not a recommended build, this is just purely showing you what you can fit where, and I wanted to use different weapons so it's easier to show you, as we have got quite a range of weapons on this ship. Anyway, I'm just going to fit the last multi-cannon in, which is this one here. Okay, so that's pretty much the hard points. Let's move on to our utility mounts. Now here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 utility mounts. So this is where you put your kill warrant scanners, manifest scanners, pulse wave analyzers, shield boosters, weight scanners, etc. So you have got quite a lot there. For our core internals, we'll first look at the bulkheads. Please bear in mind, like I said, we're at Founders World, so there's a 10% discount to all the prices. So we first start with our lightweight alloy, and then our next one up is a reinforced alloy, which is around about 19.6, adds on an extra 19 tons. Next we have a military grade composite at 44.1 million, that weighs in at 38 tons. Next we have our mirrored surface composite, which is at 38 tons as well, but this price just jumped up to 104.2 million, which is quite a big increase. And finally we have our reactive surface composite, again at 38 tons and around about 115.5 million. Our reactor, we have a class 6, which would give us around about 25.2 megawatts of power, which may be enough for most of your builds. For thrusters we have a class 5, which is reasonable. Next is our frameshift drive, which does seem a little bit on the low side, which is only a class 4. This should give you around about 20 to 30 light years depending on your build, and obviously increases a bit more with the engineers mod. Next for our life support, we have a class 4. And next we have a power distributor of a class 6. So I'm just going to fit all A stuff in all so I can show you later. And finally our sensors are class 4. I suppose it's not the final thing because we do have a fuel tank, which is a class 3, which is only going to give us 8 tons, which again seems a little bit on the low side. So there isn't much options there, 2 or 4 or 8. So if we have a look at our optional internals, we can see we have a class 5 that comes with a cargo rack in it. Then we have a class 4 that has a shield generator in it. Then we have a class 3 and 2 class 2s. So there is not that many internal compartments on this ship, and that's why it's not particularly good at trading. I think even without a shield you're only looking at around about 64 tons. So yeah, this definitely is not a trade ship. So if we move to the external view, you can see this ship is very aggressive looking. To me it looks like a kind of racing design theme, with the 2 large wings either side and the kind of little pointy wings at the back. The ship is pretty flat, to be honest. Some of the ships in the Elite and Dangerous can get pretty tall and bulky, but this is a very low profile design. The engines are integrated into the sort of bodywork as such, and you can see they've got a set of 3 engines on the back. Between the 2 engines there's actually empty space there, so that's something worth considering. So overall, yes, the design is very aggressive, and I kind of like this design. It is a very sort of sleek and racing kind of theme. So now we've looked at the various stats and so forth, let's actually try flying the ship and see how it feels.
Detachment complete. Exit the station quickly and safely.
So we have a top speed of around about 360, I believe, with a boost speed of 439. So before then, let's see the deceleration speed, and as you can see it's not too bad. It's much better than Phantom, which was pretty slow at decelerating. So next thing to do is to try the spin testing, which is, I know, not scientific, but just gives you a rough idea of how quickly the ship turns. Obviously ships turn on 3 different axes and I'm only kind of testing one, but it just gives you an idea. So for this we're going to line up for the station and we're going to turn as quickly as we can. For this we're going to do the best case scenario, so we've got 4 pips in engine and the speeds in the blue section. So it looks around about 11 seconds, which is definitely not bad for this size ship. It does seem to be much better at going forward. Anyway, so the next thing to do is to show you where all the weapons are, and for this I'm going to move away from the station. Okay, since now I'm away from the station, let's run through the various hardpoints. Now this time I'm just going to show you where they all are. So as you can see, we have got 2 sets on the kind of left and right, and then we've got 1 in the middle. So what I'm going to do is to take some of these weapons off so I can show you where they are individually. So if we just put in our huge hardpoint, you can see it's pretty much in the center, just above us. Next, if we have a look at the large hardpoint, so if we take that one off and put the 2 pulse lasers on, you can see they are on the outside. And then finally our 2 small hardpoints, which are a little bit further in but still a little bit out. So now I've showed you where they are in the cockpit, let's put them all back on and show you where these are actually on the ship itself. So to do this we're going to have to switch to the external view. So here you can see our huge hardpoint, which is just behind the cockpit. As you can see, it's a pretty big weapon and it kind of sticks out quite a lot. Next are our 2 large hardpoints, which are just a bit further towards the front. Again, there are left and right of the cockpit, but just behind it. And finally our 2 small hardpoints, which are really kind of at the front of the ship, and you can just see them here and here. They're even labelled Hardpoint. So that's where the hardpoints are. They're all on the top. There is none on the underside of the ship. So this does mean that the ship is kind of vulnerable from the underside, but not from the top. So it's just something to bear in mind. So that's my look at the Mamba. It is definitely a ship aimed at combat. For trading, you're going to be very limited by the 64 cargo space. I mean, that's just purely not enough. As for exploration, you're going to get around about 30 to 40 light years, I believe, which is okay, but obviously there are ships that are much more capable than that. It's also going to be very limited by its internal compartments. By the time you start putting discovery scanners, surface scanners, and that, you won't have enough units. So this ship is definitely aimed at combat. I don't know if this is something of the beta, but apparently this ship runs very hot. I've seen a couple of videos where people have fired 2 beam weapons and the ship has got extremely hot. I don't know if that's just a bug, but like I said, I will update the video description below if that's the case. The only other point to add is this ship does seem pretty fast when you engineer the thrusters, so bear that in mind. So if you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below. If you did like the video, drop us a like, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. That helps me out massively. Anyway guys, I think that's it for this one. Take care and have fun out there.